Assalamualaikum. My name is Siti Khadijah binti Abu Hanifa. My metric number E23A2940. I'm a student, Faculty of Earth Science. I'm a student taking a Bachelor of Applied Science, Geoscience with honor. Today, I will be presenting my e-portfolio. My research title is Flood Hazard Assessment and Mapping in Tanah Merah, Kelantan. Introduction. To begin with, let me give you some background of study. Flooding is one of the major natural disasters in Kelantan, especially in low-lying areas like Tamnamir. Heavy rainfall, river overflow, and poor drainage of the cause severe flood even during the monsoon season. One of the most devastating examples was the 2014 flood known as Abakuni, which caused widespread damage and highlight weakness in flood management. As development continues and climate conditions change, the risk only increase. Next, problem statement. Tanah Merah faced frequent flooding due to monsoon rain, but lack updated flood hazard map that reflect current land use and environmental change, modern tools like GIS, RS, and hydrological modeling and underuse, with reliance still on outdated methods. Urbanization and land clearing was flooding but often ignored, implying due to poor data integration. Flood management is fragmented, lacking unfair system to combine environmental planning and community data. Public awareness is low, especially in rural areas. Therefore, an update flood hazard map is crucial for better planning, emergency response, and flood risk reduction. Next part is the objective. So firstly, to identify and map flood-prone area in Tanah Merah, Kelantan using GIS and remote sensing technique. Secondly, to classify flood-prone area into different risk categories, specifically distinguishing between high risk, moderate risk, and low risk zone based on flood deep frequency, velocity, and duration. And lastly, to assess the level of flood hazard based on topography, hydrological, and use factor. Next part is scope of study. The study map and assess for hazard in Tanah Merah, Kelantan, focusing of vulnerable area near major river. It uses historical flood data, satellite imagery, and GIS or RES technique to analyze terrain. Land use and rainfall during the northeast monsoon. Flood risk is classified into high, moderate, and low. The focus is on physical hazard, not socio-economic impact. Limitation include a narrow study area, limited use of hydrodynamic model, and data availability. Okay, next part is significance of study. The research gives the proper flood hazard map that assists government in disaster planning, disaster preparedness, and land use management in Tanah Merah. Such finding can support a safer and more sustainable development and large degree of awareness among the people and a reliable correlation of data leading to the success of adaptation policy about flood risk and climate change. Okay, next study area. The lowland area of Tanah Merah, 1,200 km to district located into southeast region of the state of Kelantan, are prone to flooding during the season of the monsoon. Land use and topography in conjunction with climate creating flooding issue made popular by Kelantan River its tributary. Now, I briefly go through the literature review which support the method and direction of my study. Okay, first literature review is remote sensing and GIS-based flood analysis. The GIS and remote sensing will categorize the flood risk area in Tanah Merah considering the input of DEM, rainfall, and land use. The study anticipates having the highest impact in the plantation like Wani, Sofia, and Naima 2018 in Kuala the final will be used to plan mitigate flood. Secondly, flood plan zoning using HECRS and CCHE2D model. An example of mapping flood plan using HECRS 1D and CCHE2D is given by Parsa E et al. 2016 in case of Sungai Maka, Tanah Merah. The model we simulated forecasted on monsoon and backwater floods area impact until 2,599 people in the 2004 flood and hazard map among other to plan. Okay, thirdly, flood vulnerable area identification using flood vulnerability index. The identification of a prone area in Tanah Merah by remote sensing and GIS will be done on the basis of DEM, rainfall, and land use. According to Wani Sofia and Naima 2018, probably the most vulnerable is a plantation. The research target to advance on flood management. Next, Kelantan and Tanah Merah flood hazard situation. The problem is Tanah Merah undergoes significant flood threat because of rainfall, deforestation, urbanization, bad drainage, and altitude. This threat was demonstrated during the 2014 flood, and climate change increased the severity of the flood even with the mitigation in place. Lastly, development of flood hazard index (FHI) of the Kelantan River catchment using GIS-based AHP. It creates an FHI of Kelantan River catchment based on GIS and AHP by Zulkarnain Hassan and Ain Nila Kamaruzaman 2023. The important factors were rainfall slope and use, elevation, soil and river density. High-risk areas were found to be Tanah Merah and Jeli. Next, I will explain the methodology used in the study to assess and mapping food hazard in Tanah Merah, Kelantan. Okay, first method I use is data collection and preparations. The paper construct the flood mapping in Tanah Merah using satellite data, hydrological data, DEM, and flood verification. Flood risk analyzed with the aid of model and GIS that provide secure storage of data in geodatabase. Secondly, flood-prone area identification. The research combined GIS, remote sensing, DEM analysis, hydrological modeling, and historical data to determine the flood-prone area in Tanah Merah and map it out. Flood validation is done on the result and they are stored safely in a geodatabase that is fully documented. Thirdly, flood restoration analysis. Multi-criteria analysis of flood risk in Tanah Merah is by GIS, the hazard and exposure layer and categorized as normalized and weight. And those different method parameters are used to calculate a composite risk map, which is constructed in the map low, moderate, and high risk zone. A complete documentation is stored as the map is verified. Okay, lastly, multi-criteria decision analysis. MCDA using GIS is a combination of terrain data, hydrological data, and land use data in order to come up with the distribution of flood hazard area in Tanah Merah. Okay, now I would like to explain the flowchart shown here. This flowchart represents the step-by-step process used in conducting the flow hazard assessment of Tanah Merah. Okay, firstly, data collection and preparation. Create special data alongside uploading historical map, shapefile, and other remote sensing data that are then to be used in our study. Then, georeference this data and place the data. Next, digitize historical flood map. Okay, secondly, flood-prone area identification using GIS, terrain analysis, elevation, slope, flow accumulation, and then hydrological modeling, HES, HMS, and then historical flood event mapping, and thirdly, multi-criteria decision analysis, which is MCDA, reclassify factor, typography, land use hydrology, then action weight via AHP, expert input, and then perform weight overlay analysis. Fourthly, flood risk zonation and classifications, generate composite flood hazard index map. Next, classify into high, moderate, and low risk zone, then validate with historical flood data. Lastly, flood hazard map is done. This is my Gantt chart. This Gantt chart online is the timeline for our project focus on flood hazard assessment and mapping in Tanah Merah, Kelantan. The chart cover activity from March to February, spanning 1 year. Okay, the task is data selection, data and software preparation, and then DM and satellite image analysis, and then integration of rainfall and river data, and then historical flood mapping, and then hydrological modeling, and then first hazard mapping and report writing, and final submission. Okay, this is my milestone table. Okay, the next part is research budget. So the item is using this QGIS, topographic map, remote sensing data, fieldwork and controlling, computational tools. Okay, the total this project is 1,600. Okay, lastly, before I end my presentation, I like to briefly acknowledge the reference that support this study. All references are listed this slide for future reading, and I sincerely thank this researcher for providing the foundation for my work. Thank you for listening to my presentation. That's all from me. Thank you.